Welcome to the main event Fightcast. I'm your host Vega, and this is my co-host, one and only Coach Mike. We're hanging out. UFC 303 is debatable. I feel like there's a lot of back and forth online about whether it was a good card or a bad card. I think that maybe the standard of what a good card is has changed.
I don't know.
What did you think of the card overall?
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, but I tend to enjoy most UFC events. So I'll tell you if it sucked, and this one did not suck.
Yeah, I thought this was I wouldn't call it a great card, right? It had a great top side, right? Like the last 5 fights were well, I would say the last three fights were really good. The Mayra Bueno Silva fight just had a really interesting ending with the TKO cut, and then the
interesting. How did you want more?
I think it was interesting because I was on the Macy shots on side, so I had a bet on Macy.
Me too.
I felt good about it.
But I felt like she was about to lose. So it was interesting.
I feel like the fight was just the first round. Yes. I can confidently say she lost the first round.
Yes.
Right, but she was clearly winning the second round, which is how we ended up in the position we ended up.
Yeah. When she got the takedown.
She got the takedown. She ended up on top. She was landing some ground and pound, and it just so happens that one of those that she landed really fucking hard and split Mayra Bueno open.
Maybe it was just me seeing it in real time. Macy didn't want to stand with her no more.
Yeah, of course not. She realized that just didn't make a lot of sense. And I think that was her game plan from the beginning, to be honest.
She picked her shot too. It wasn't a sloppy takedown. It was a good takedown.
Opposite side of that conversation, Macy actively said she was trying to avoid being on the floor with her because she didn't want, she knew the threat that the submission was. Right, so which we saw get tossed up a couple times in that grappling exchange on the ground.
Maybe that's what I was seeing. Maybe I was seeing her doubting herself.
Right, she was trying to figure out, all right, what do I do here?
I don't want to go down there, but I'm not winning up here.
Right, this is not looking good. So,
I get
but
that.
the doctor stoppage was really interesting for me because the whole time, it was a really, really bad cut. But for whatever reason, the whole time I was staring at it, I just kept replacing Mayra Bueno Silva's face with Gregory Rodriguez. And I just kept thinking they're not going to stop the fight. I don't know why. I just kept thinking of when he had that massive split right there,
I remember the split. I don't remember if they continued.
No, they let the fight go, and he ended up winning. He ended up winning with the split in his freaking face, bro. So I was just like, but what I don't remember about that fight was how deep in that happened. I don't remember if that was a third round thing, and that's why. Me neither.
I remember the cut. I don't remember the fight.
But the whole time, every time they showed Mayra Bueno Silva's face, bro, I was just like, they're going to keep going. Clearly, they're going to keep going. They let Gregory Rodriguez keep going there. Gregory Rodriguez looked like his face was going to fall off,
It's almost an emotional moment there because you could see it in her face. She was so pissed.
She was so angry.
She didn't
and I get it. Yeah,
she didn't want to concede. She wanted to fight.
We get it.
She wanted to fight. But that cut was bad. There's no way. There's no way.
I don't know about there's no way because, again, Gregory Rodriguez, his face looked like the difference being, for people who don't watch the sport and are hearing me say this before you go thinking I'm actually right about this, the difference is that Gregory Rodriguez's split was directly in the center of his forehead.
Okay.
Mayra Bueno Silva was over her eye.
Right,
so it's bleeding down into her eye. It's obstructing the vision while Gregory Rodriguez is just bleeding and losing his face.
I remember you screaming like, what do you think you could do? They just wiped it.
They just wiped your face, bro, and you're already, you look like this just happened again.
It was bad. It was bad because how can she avoid that? It's a big target. It's bleeding over her eyes before she's not gonna be able to see.
Yeah, and then that's the other thing. It's the first part of it is you can't really see with blood rushing. You just picture when you're in the shower and water's running down your face, right? Now just imagine instead of it just hitting your eyes, it's also burning because it's full of iron and other other stuff that makes up blood. So that's one part of it, and then the second part of it is you're about to say is that's the target now. Every strike I throw from here forward is going for that cut because I'm trying to get out of this fight.
To be honest, you don't even have to get hit on that spot for it.
Anything can happen.
Any little pressure to her head is going to make it.
It's going to split it more. It's going to make it
shoot some blood like it's a pimple. It's bad.
So that was and
it was the right call.
That was the most gruesome. So that was the most gruesome fight of the night, right? As far as actual damage that was taking place.
Yeah.
But also a fun little thing that ended up happening, right? After the fight, Dana was asked during the press conference, like, so, these rumors about the gloves being kind of cursed and not being able to get knockouts. And he was like, yo, honestly, we were starting to get nervous about it too. But, tonight it just seems like fighters are just getting used to it, which was really cool because two things we saw tonight, right? Like, we saw a bunch of knockouts. And we also saw that the only real massive cut that took place was because of an elbow. So it has nothing to do with the gloves, right? So there was a small window of time where a lot of the fighters were talking about the idea that the gloves might lead to more cuts and less knockouts, which was starting to look real because we were getting a little bit more cuts. And
I don't remember
what
the number would be with the last events, but it got to good like 28 fights, no knockouts.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. But it got turned around, thankfully. And we got to see some really big knockouts on this card. A couple of them that I think were really, really fun. Obviously, the easiest one to remember is Joe Pyfer, right? Joe Pyfer.
No, the easiest one to remember is Alex Pereira, but yes.
Alex Pereira.
Other than Alex Pereira.
Like, I'm trying to go going through the card from the beginning, right?
But also if you're tired of hearing Alex Pereira be everything.
If you want to hear some other options, Joe Pyfer
was a great knockout.
Knocked out Marc-Andre Barriault. And what the reason that I say it's the easiest to remember is because it had, in my opinion, it had the most shock value, right? Because of the position that it happened in, right? Like, it was like going down towards the canvas is when Joe Pyfer caught the actual, like, final sleeper that put Marc-Andre Barriault between 2 feet between 2 feet of air and before hitting the floor. Went from being able to land and at least turn around and still be in the zone, but be out
I will say
completely flat.
I will say the most shocking, but the most, what the hell just happened?
Right, that's what I mean. What the hell just happened? What was that?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? That's what you remember it for, because you remember having to go back and go, wait, I have to see the replay.
That's that big
and really
power.
Figure out what happened here.
That's that big power when they don't hit clean and still take your lights out. But I thought, if you want to start from the beginning, I thought Peyton's knockout was
Peyton Talbot is, and as I told everybody, big fan of Peyton. I said it was going to be a great fight to watch. I was a little bit wrong because it only lasted 19 seconds. But if you're the type of person that's in the fights for the knockouts and for that, it couldn't have been a better showing. He went in, landed exactly 13 strikes out of 13 strikes he threw. And two of them, well, really one of them did the work. You know what I'm saying? One of them he connected that right hand and it was a straight right, put the man down, head bounced off the canvas. He stood over him. Ref was like, yo, it's not over yet. Jumped down, landed a little bit of ground and pound, and then it was over.
It could have been called on the knockdown.
It could have been called on the knockdown. It could have. It could have. Sean O'Malley pulls that off all the time. Yes. I feel like a lot of Sean O'Malley knockouts were where they were like, he hit him, the person hit the canvas in a way where it was just like, if I stand here menacingly enough, I got a straight, clean knockout. But nonetheless, Peyton did the damn thing.
Similar to like Alex Pereira in the first round, not to jump ahead so much, but in the first round, he dropped him. If there's time left, the fact that Yuri actually come down is the only reason it wouldn't have been called a knockout.
Right.
Because the way he went down and he got whiplash, and the bell rings, but he was making sure that he lets them know that he's good.
No.
Because if you can't answer that bell.
Now I do feel like, even though that happened, it was a couple of seconds that passed after the bell rang. Like, the bell rang, and then it was like
after. Yeah,
it was like 2 or 3 seconds after.
100%.
And for me, that space
that tells
in between,
that tells that tells you weren't all there.
Right, he was gone.
At least, at the very least, you weren't all there. Not saying you were completely gone. At the very least,
he was gone.
But he
also
had to wear by the black.
Looking at how the fight actually ended, right? The bell didn't actually save him, because even if the bell didn't ring, Herb wasn't going to stop the fight.
No.
And where Herb stopped the fight at the actual knockout, like, Herb was not going to stop the fight with the way that first round landed. Like, Pereira was still going to have to go down and do some work.
I think he could have, though. I really think he could have, because once again he landed that way, that whiplash. Yuri being the warrior that he is, he would have contested it, but He wasn't there, man.
Yeah, but after having a contestable first loss,
No, that's
how Herb Dean went into it.
That's the only reason
Yeah.
you can't say anything to Herb Dean for letting it last a little longer.
Yeah, no. It was crazy.
Yuri couldn't contest that one if he wanted to, because as he stood up, he was falling down.
It was yeah. Whew, and then that head kick, oh my God, the actual blow that
That's what I'm
put
saying.
Jiri
The head
out.
kick,
Oh,
the head kick
Lord,
was
oh,
enough.
Lord,
The head kick was enough. If he wanted to do an O'Malley and walk away,
Lord.
only thing that would have stopped it is Yuri would have been contesting it, whether he's there or not. He
would have been rolling around contesting it, but he was out.
If he would have been able to stay on his feet after that fight, like you see how he dropped?
Yeah.
If he would have stayed on his feet, he would have been like, I'm here. That's who he is.
Yep. Yo, I remember the funniest thing of that KO moment for me was hearing DC in the background going, "Stop the fight! Stop the fight!"
Yeah.
Yo, DC was screaming, "Stop the fight!" Like he was related to Jiri, bro. Like he was concerned about his family member.
Man, it's like that. It's like that because
that shit was fucking hilarious.
It gets that bad when you see a fighter not defending himself, not even intelligently, just not at all. Like, he had no answer for Alex. In the first round, he dropped him, and he hadn't utilized the fact that he noticed he's throwing that kick, and his head is not in the right place. It's not defending nothing.
No, that's the other part that makes this even crazier. It's the leak, or not the leak, the Pereira speaking about seeing
him
the footage of him warming up, and then literally turning that into like that is outrageous. Like first of all, you're on short notice, right? So like, yes, you already fought the guy, so you had the chance to really learn about him. So short notice is a little easier.
But to quickly see a read.
Notice. But then to read something off of a quick promo video that he puts out, and then actively see that in the fight again and clip, like, nah.
Well, I mean, I think this is what these guys got to start understanding.
That was elite.
Yuri had that video where he's contemplating retirement, saying, I have to really evolve or not fight again. You're in there with a really high level striker.
Yes.
In all aspects of the game.
Every aspect.
While you're worried about a leg kick, he's setting up a head kick.
Yep.
And the left hand is not far.
It's right behind. It's
not far behind
it.
And
it's coming right behind it.
Somebody that's a complete fighter, mixed martial artist, I can wrestle a little, I can strike a little. It's not good enough. Unless you can find a path to victory where you can get Alex down.
And I'm glad you brought that up because I was going through Twitter and I wish I could remember who it was. I don't even think it was Twitter. It might have been Instagram. But somebody had mentioned the idea that, like, it's crazy that we keep thinking all you have to do is take Alex down when, A, we've already seen people take him down and we've seen him survive it, right? Like, whether you think he did the greatest job or not, we saw him survive it against not the bottom of the divisions, but the elite people in the division. And they may not be the greatest grapplers, but they're still the top of the division, right? So, like, it's not going to get...
But not being a submission threat matters, though.
It's not going to get significantly better, right? So now, when we talk about an Ankalaev, right? When we talk about seeing him go up to heavyweight against a Tom Aspinall, right? And he opens up with these the hypothetical future odds, put him all as an underdog against all three potential opponents.
All three potential opponents
The
are
John Jones one
favorites.
makes perfect sense. The Tom Aspinall, I'm a little questionable about because of what
No,
I'm about to say.
how much of an underdog is ridiculous.
Right. Him underdog makes sense. How much of it, ridiculous.
I get him being a dog.
Crazy to me. Like, that sounds crazy. But again, maybe I'm wrong. But
Once again, I'm not mad at him being an underdog against Ankalaev.
It's just a number.
It's the number.
It's the number.
Yes.
It's the number.
But I'm also not convinced that Ankalaev will win. Your boy Angelo was saying how he don't want...
He don't want to grapple.
He doesn't want Alex to fight Ankalaev because he believes he'll derail it. He'd rather him go up to heavyweight.
That's going to my point. It's
he'd rather him go up to heavyweight and capitalize on this.
We're all thinking that Alex's weakness is the wrestling.
No, his weakness is obviously the wrestling, but we have no evidence that they can submit him 100%.
Well, yeah, right. Like the weakness
he got submitted in his first fight or something.
Saying his weakness is definitely wrestling. It is We're saying that in the scope of understanding, his striking is so damn good.
Exactly.
Right? His striking is so damn good. You're not going to stand up against him.
And you don't even have to phrase it as it's his weakness.
Right.
It's just
it's your best chance.
It's your best chance.
Right.
To win. It's your safest path to victory.
Now, looking at your best chance to win, let's talk about how realistic it actually might be. Because we have Pereira's been training with Glover Teixeira for 2 years, right? We focus so much on his striking. No one ever is asking them, yo, what do you guys work on for grappling?
Come on.
Do you guys work on grappling? No reporter has asked that simple question. Yo, bro.
They have to understand this.
Listen. I don't know if they do, because even like you said, bro, Angelo's a goddamn professional, and even he's like, Ankalaev's gonna smoke him. Right? So it's like, bro, are we asking the question, what are you guys working on?
Because that I guess it's just like, it's like second nature. High level striker, a grappler that has good submissions. Oh no, I want to keep him away from him. But you got to also remember, he's working with Glover all day, and Glover is trying to submit him all day. He's learning all these tricks. Doesn't mean he can stop it in a fight. It doesn't mean anything. But it is the reason why a Jan Blachowicz can hold him down a little bit, and he doesn't feel threatened.
Right.
He can come back up.
He can get back up. You can hold me here.
He can get back up and not. He's not worried.
Look up at the clock. Oh, it's 2 minutes. Yeah, you can have these 2 minutes. Let him stand back up.
Whose back is Jan ever taken? Jan is not much of a submission threat.
Right.
Glover submitted him, did he?
Yeah.
So,
and then look, Pereira able to defend it.
The thing about Pereira is you got to understand he's been fighting for so long. It might have not always been MMA. He reads these things. He sees these things. He learns these things. Kayla Harrison was upset with him, saying that he had a chance to do the move.
He did. I was so in my mind. I was so confident he was about to do it.
It's easy to say.
You know the exact moment.
No, I know. I remember. It's easy to say that,
but then he did.
He defended it perfectly. It was everything else was good. He was safe. And
then if you think about it, it's like, okay, why would he do that? If I throw you to the floor, now we're both on the floor.
Now we're on the floor. I don't want to be there. Yeah.
So why? It's not necessary. But the moment was there.
Now, if he feels like oh, he was about to get me,
right?
Then you use it.
Or if he felt shaken a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think he felt that at all. So
there was no threat, and I feel like all of the grappling work he's doing is super defensive. You know what I'm saying? And that's so. Will we see a submission from Alex Pereira? Probably not.
He's not.
But will we see him submitted? I also feel like probably not.
I promise you, he is not.
The person who beats him with wrestling is beating him by decision.
I promise you, he is not sparring to learn better striking.
Right.
He's sparring for conditioning. What he really works on and tries to get better on is grappling.
For sure.
100%.
For sure. That dude, I got
not offensive, but defensive.
I personally feel like I would bet that he's spending in a 10-hour gym session. He's spending 6 hours grappling, maybe 7.
Bro, if you were a welterweight that was coming up as a world-class striker, and your teammate was Damian Maia, how long will they be throwing grapplers at you and saying that the path to victory is grappling?
It's not. The path to victory to beating Alex Pereira right now is figure out the fucking striking. And the best part about it is Alex Pereira
I don't agree with that.
It's so technical with his striking.
I just feel like you have to mix it up, and you have to see the same holes that Izzy attacked, because it wasn't a one-time thing. Yeah, one time Izzy knocked him out.
Well, he's 1-1 with another kickboxer from Glory.
But in the first fight in the UFC, you can say Alex was saved by the belt by that same combination that dropped and knocked him out in the second fight for round 1.
Oh yeah,
Izzy hit him with the same combination.
Yeah, for sure.
So there's weaknesses, not weaknesses.
But even that, it's a striking thing, right? And then the person from Glory.
Who else stands up in front of Alex?
That's what I was gonna say. There's a dude from Glory who's a champion right now, who's 1-1 with Pereira. And when they say 1-1, people say like that split decision where Pereira won is questionable, right? I haven't seen the fight, so I can't really say.
Who does he train with?
But like thinking about the two people who can actively say that they've beat Pereira, right? Striking.
No. There's another guy who tapped him. I believe they signed soon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I believe they signed. This is how bad it is.
Well, Pereira has three MMA losses.
Does he?
Yeah, Izzy, and then there was 2 before he came into the UFC.
I thought it was 1.
Is it 1?
Before he came into the UFC.
Okay, so it was 1 before he came into the UFC.
I
so
thought
Izzy
it was 1.
and 1.
I believe he got subbed in like his second or.
All right, so then that's the one. That's the one.
And it was not in the UFC, obviously.
Okay.
It was
Yeah,
prior.
he's
his first fight in the UFC was Bruno, and he won. Shaky decision, maybe close decision.
Yeah.
Listen, the people that have fared the best against Alex have wrestled. I won't agree with you saying that that striking is. I think you need
the people who fared the best are the people who won. The people who won with striking. Except for the guy who submitted him. So I guess it's 1-1.
Maybe you got to play possum a little because once
that's the technique. Because once he feels like he's got you, Pereira does kind of see red for a moment where he just like, oh, you're weak. This is the moment. Bang, bang, bang.
He's a shark.
It happened with. It didn't even happen with Jerry in both fights.
You have to lure him in and let him overextend.
It happened with Jerry in both fights, but Jerry didn't capitalize. But Izzy was able to capitalize because again, Izzy's fought this man 4 times.
I mean, I don't think Alex did it.
It wasn't as bad.
Yeah, not in the second.
No, in the first fight.
It was because he smelled blood and it was there. Like, but Jerry didn't have a chance. He didn't have a chance, man. It was a sad show.
I tried to tell you before the fight started, man. You know?
I don't know. I had a feeling that like all this mind games
once
and
the magic
talk,
thing came in, I was like, that's not a mind game, bro. Like, you have to think about who this person really is. Like, this dude really believes he's a samurai.
He was legit.
When he said that, he was really living in 1774 Japan, where they thought that the enemies in Demon Mask were actually demons, bro. Like, he was dead serious.
He legit felt like he was up against magic.
He was dead serious, bro.
Against magic. And once you put that aura on somebody, man.
Like, you put magic around this guy? You really think you're going to beat him when you think he's magical?
Speaking of aura, somebody who you had a big aura in Bellator for years. Oh. I wasn't buying it, man. They were putting him in front of cans. But I was very impressed with what he did to Kevin Holland. And I told you Ian Gary will find a way.
See, my thing was that I really, and I guess this is not just me, all of the fans, right? This is on us. We decided that Ian Gary was going to go in there and strike, right? So for us, we disappointed ourselves because we put an expectation on a fight we shouldn't have had.
No,
Their job is to win.
I had a feeling he would mix in some wrestling. I didn't know that
he was going to go that heavy.
Like I didn't know he would overextend himself to a point where his cardio is being questioned, man.
Yeah. But even beyond that, just the technique of the fight, the strategy of the fight, rather. Right? It was grapple. Mm-hmm. It was grapple, and he mixed in a little bit of striking. It wasn't striking, and he mixed in a little bit of grappling. Right? And I think that for a lot of the fans going into this fight, we expected grappling. We expected striking with a little bit of grappling mixed in. Right? Because that was the path to victory that we really saw. Right? So to see Ian Gary show up and grapple with a little bit of striking mixed in,
those are literally the people that wanted to see him get knocked out because.
He said he was going to knock him out. On the press conference, he said he was going to knock. Like, forget about me wanting to see him get knocked out.
And you watching the fight.
He was going to knock him out.
You watching the fight. Did he ever try to knock him out?
That's what I'm saying.
Never.
So, like,
he tried to
that's
sub
where
him.
that disappointment comes in.
If he was betting on himself, literally, I don't know, if you can't bet on yourself in MMA, you can't bet at all. But if he were to be betting on himself, the method of victory he was going to bet on was submission. That's right. That's him wanting to sell fights.
Exactly. So now, with selling fights, right, like I said, part of the disappointment that we feel is our own fault, right? Because we bought into the idea he's going to go in there and strike. Well, when he has a job to do, his job to do is win.
100%. Right? But we could also indict him for lying. We can do that.
I don't know if it's lying.
It is.
I don't know if it's lying.
You say you're going to knock him out and you go out with a straight Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu approach?
Nah, here's why I don't want to call it lying, right? Because first round, that was opportunity. That wasn't game plan, right? Like a kick landed, a kick came in, he caught it, went to the ground, said, fuck everything else we was thinking about, I'm already here.
No, that's true.
Get right to it.
That's fair. That's fair.
Boom. So first round, eliminate that, right? Second round is where we come into question. Because second round he came in, right? He threw a couple strikes, got hit a couple times, and then said, nah.
I also think he was tired already. Also think he
definitely was
himself
probably
out.
tired already, right? So he was like, nah, and went straight to grappling. Then from that point is where he was grappling and mixing and striking whenever he lost control. He wasn't actually striking. He was just, anytime he wasn't fully in the control of the grappling, let me throw some strikes in there and get back to grappling.
When he stood in front of him, his
when he
head
stood in
movement
front of
was
him-
not what it usually is. MVP got him a couple times.
MVP caught him
ate
with a hook and a straight that made me question MVP's strength and, like you said, far as was he fighting cans in Bellator? Because a lot of the punches he hit Gary with,
but
a lot of the punches he hit Gary with were knockouts in Bellator.
Like walk.
Those were walk-offs.
He was punching them and walking off. But this is the thing.
You know what I mean? So Gary took them shits.
He 100% fought cans in Bellator. What percentage of them were cans? I'd say close to like 80 and 70.
Right, and that number, for me, that number is going up. Like before, the number was like 20, 30, right? Then when he lost to, it was Eblin, right? He lost to Eblin.
I'm not sure. No,
not Eblin. Who did he lose to?
That's a way bigger guy than him.
Fuck, what's this guy's name?
He lost to Diego Limas.
Limas, yes. When he lost to Limas,
I could be wrong. It could be the brother, but it's Limas.
We were talking about thing earlier, that's why. But yeah, when he lost to him, I was like, all right, maybe he was fighting 50% cans, right? When he fought Holland,
I thought before him was 100% cans.
Nah, for me it was 20%. Then when he got to him, it was 50%. When he fought Holland, I was like, oh, Page was fighting like 60% cans.
No.
Because again, the power is not translating. Like,
Yeah,
you caught
our
Kevin
perspective
Holland
was
with
different,
a
man.
whole elbow, bro, and Holland didn't go down, right? And then
Probably
the Gary situation.
probably the realest guy at that point in his career was that Shogun guy, and he was apparently over the hill. I wasn't really familiar with him, but some people that were fans before me told me he used to be a real deal guy. He was Cyborg's husband, and that's why she adapted the nickname.
Exactly.
But it was his nickname.
Yep.
And he hit him with that flying knee and cracked his skull. At that point, I thought this guy is dangerous, which he 100% is, though.
He is, no,
he
he
100% is dangerous. But after that, no name was recognizable. Everybody who was fighting was bagging groceries for all we know.
Yeah.
Like-
there wasn't really
So
a lot of.
I felt like it was 100% cans, but Kevin
trying to see
Holland
the
was
age
supposed to fraud check him, and I really want to question, was it his ego standing up? Because Holland could easily have mixed it up on him.
He could have mixed it up and got it better. But Holland is Holland, right? When he went up on stage and said, I'm going to knock Page out, he didn't.
I think he could have. I think he still could have with a different path.
Yeah, there was a lot going on.
But him not mixing up the wrestling, not making him respect it, MVP was too comfortable.
Left it wide open.
And he looked so fast against him.
So we have to see what happens next with MVP because again, like Gary ate a lot of those punches, right? So we have to also see where Gary goes next. But right now the question is MVP because of how much history he has, right? I was trying to see the age difference because we also keep in mind MVP's 37.
37
right? So like
old.
I want to say Gary's 28, 29. I might be wrong.
You might be high on it. I think he's like 26.
So if I'm high on that, that also speaks to the chin, right? So like his chin is going to be strong compared to an older man just off of the strength that he's still new.
But
we've only really seen him get wobbled by this guy.
I've seen Ian get wobbled. I don't remember by
That's what I was trying to remember by who.
It wasn't Jeff Neal. It was before that he got wobbled real bad. And I thought it was really about his it was not Neil Magny. No. I thought it was about his conditioning though. So
no, because he got wobbles in the first round on that. It wasn't a conditioning thing then.
I still think like because
why are you not load?
It was a nobody. I promise you, it was a nobody. So I wouldn't.
Really not gonna load for me.
I wouldn't search for it.
I guess that's
But the point is that I don't think it had so much to do with MVP. More to do with Ian Gary.
Sal Kanan?
Yeah.
Sal Kanan it was.
Sal Kanan. That makes sense.
I think it was Sal Kanan.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Sal Kanan, I think it was.
He got wobbled and he ended up either finishing the fight or winning the decision.
He ended up winning the decision.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where do we go? What does Gary get next? The obvious answer is Colby Covington. So outside of Colby Covington, who does Gary go to next?
Realistically, Dos Anjos or somebody like that. Realistically.
Yeah?
Yeah. But I'm more interested in what's MVP's next matchup. He was reluctant to fight.
is under him. Yeah. Gary.
Dos dropped under him.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So realistically, is Jack?
Jack? Yeah, because he fucks with Gilbert, so that's a tough call.
By the way, he
called out Shakva.
He mentioned the boogeyman's name.
He called out Shakva, so maybe that's the decision to make because, again, like I said,
no.
Colby Covington,
I mean,
it makes sense because right now Bilal...
I can see Shafkat taking that fight. I can see Shafkat taking that fight.
Shakva versus Ian makes sense, and then whoever wins from Bilal and Leon, regardless of whether it has to go to a second fight, but that next fight is there, and we don't see Shakva going active for too long.
My thing is, Shafkat told Jack, no, I'm next in line. Why would he tell Ian yes?
True.
As a fan, I would say that because Ian's more of a draw, but it doesn't really make sense other than the fact that Shafkat believes he'd get him out there easily.
Yeah.
They've trained together. He's like, I don't think he remembers what used to happen in training.
Right.
And I'll give him a reminder in the future if he'd like.
So really, for Ian Gary, it's only Covington and Jack.
Yeah, Shafkat is a bad man. You don't want that problem, bro.
I think Shafkat makes the most sense for the division.
I mean, if he wants a title shot, that's the guy he should be. That's the guy he should be calling out. To like, I'm not scared of nobody. And you call out Boogeyman, which brings me to another fighter who his call out was very strange for me.
Who's that?
Big knockout, Joe Piper.
Joe Piper. Oh.
Piper. Man knocked out. Knocked the dude. Wait, what's his name? Because he's a good fighter.
Joe Piper knocked out Marc-Andre Barrio.
Barrio, yeah, bro.
Goes up after winning to the mic,
and he calls for Paul Craig after saying, "I'm not scared of anybody.
I'm not scared of nobody."
There's no disrespect to Paul Craig, but that's no boogeyman. I hope Paul Craig takes his arm for that.
Bro,
for that call out, I hope Paul Craig takes his arm. Because it makes no sense to me. Paul Craig just went down to middleweight. And a light heavyweight is calling him back up after he just lost twice at middleweight.
Right, like, bro, what are we doing here?
I was puzzled.
That was a funny one.
Joe's a guy who had his hype train derailed a little. People called it fraud check, whatever. And you're back on, not a bad promo. You show energy, all of that. But the name you called just puzzled me.
Yeah. Who would you have rather him say? For me, first name that comes to mind is Alonzo Menifield, right? Because I saw it on the ranking list, and because he's so low on the ranking, and he has so much history in the division that it'd be a good look for Joe Piper.
It's not a bad.
But it's not a good fight for.
It's not a bad call out at all. But I would have liked him to go up against a Carlos Uber.
Nah, that's way too far.
That's too high?
That's way too far. Joe Piper just can't. Joe Piper got a win, then got fraud checked, and now got a nice knockout over somebody who was supposed to knock out. You know what I mean?
Was he? That's not a tough.
No, it wasn't an easy fight. It wasn't an easy fight, but it was supposed to be a knockout. Like, you had no other real way to win. Going to decision would have looked really bad for him. You know what I'm saying? Against Marc-Andre, really bad.
I wasn't sure he was going to win the fight, to be honest. I thought it was a difficult fight.
I think that's because you were on the side of like, well, he's already been fraud checked. That's how I felt. Personally, I didn't think he was going to win either because I already felt like he was fraud checked. I last minute put him in my DraftKings lineup because I was like, I might be wrong.
It's interesting. If he wants to get back in there, Alonzo Menifield's not a back call out.
Bogdan Guskov.
But it answers an older question though. Definitely a Dom Reyes is not a bad call out.
Dom Reyes.
That wouldn't have been a bad call out.
That would have been a great call out.
Exactly.
That would have been a great call out.
Just a matter of if he wants to wait that long. Because Dom wants to get married and all that stuff.
Yeah, that would have been a bad call out because of the wait time. But Bogdan or Alonzo would have been a great call out.
Yeah. Paul Craig was just very puzzling to me. I don't know.
Paul Craig was a terrible call out. It was a terrible call out.
After saying the words, I'm not scared of anybody, to want to go in there with a grappler is it's a little strange.
Like, what are we talking about? So the next week, we have the week off with UFC. There's no fights this week, right?
Unfortunately.
And because of that, I don't want to dive too deep into the fight card that we're supposed to have on July 13th because things change. Things change
that's
all
true.
the time.
That's true.
They change so often
That's true.
that the main event for this card has already changed. It's already been updated from Namajunas versus Barber to Namajunas versus Cortez. So, just giving some thoughts to this new matchup. Where do we sit? Tracy Cortez versus Rose Namajunas. Now, I'll admit, Cortez is probably one of the most popular UFC fighters off of beauty alone.
I wonder why. Sure. I wonder why she's popular.
For sure.
But she's a good fighter, though.
But she's also a great fighter, right? So
I'll ease up on the great. I don't think I've ever seen her in there with anyone good enough for me to call her great.
She had that time off for a little bit, so I can't think of any other
that's another thing.
She's coming off of a couple wins, but
women tend to be very inactive in their divisions if they're not like champions or title contenders often.
Let me stand on that.
But she's very inactive.
So Gatto, right? That was the win.
Year.
So Jazovic was the one that I didn't think she was gonna get, that she won. And it was a great showing, right? Against a really top-notch wrestler. Right, Melissa Gatto. That was a good win. Not a great win, but a good win. Clean.
These are girls that are
people who are coming up, and that's the thing. I feel like that's the issue with Tracy Cortez. She has been her lack of activity makes it feel like she's been in the UFC so long. We should have already seen a title run, right? But in the UFC, she's only got like 12 fights.
No, she does. She has 12 fights.
11 fights.
She has like 12 fights in her career.
Yeah, 12 fights in her career. So in the UFC, she's only really got like 4 or 5 fights.
Mm-hmm.
So, and those 4 or 5 fights, again, have been spread out across 4 or 5 years.
Well,
it's tough. And then, like I said, 1 year layoff.
Well, this is the thing. She hasn't been very active throughout her whole career. And recently is the most active she's been.
Yes.
She's fought once every year the last couple years. If she fights this year, that'll mark her quota.
Right.
But before that is that she was more inactive, and it's like I don't know.
But I think inactivity is her biggest downfall. I think against Rose, I think she has the better striking.
Does she?
I think she's a way better striker than Rose. Maybe the idea is coming from the fact that they're coming from different divisions. So it feels like she's a better striker, and like because in Tracy's division, she is a better striker than most of the people in that class.
100%, but I don't think she's better.
And then when you look at Rose, in her division, the people who really stood the best chance to get her were the strikers, Wei Li, Carla. When Carla was striking, Carla did better with her wrestling. Actually,
Carla only beat her because she beat her Ultimate Fighter by holding her down, and Rose was scared to get too close.
Rematch, they just kind of stood around each other.
Why? Because Rose was in her head about this girl holding her down. It made no sense to me. It was that was the craziest title-changing non-activity fight I've ever seen in my life. How does somebody win a title off doing nothing?
Yeah, no, that was.
If you and I fight and we do nothing, and I'm the champion, I walk out the champion.
We don't talk about that fight. That fight just gets erased from existence.
It's
so
probably that fight is what's derailed. That's what's derailed Rose's career.
Yeah,
she's been in her head since.
Yep, because that shit didn't. That
who's the champion now? Somebody she beat twice.
Yep.
I had no doubt that Wei Li was going to ragdoll Carla. But Carla was in Rose's head because of a victory back when she was 20.
Yeah.
21, sorry.
Crazy. So you feel pretty good that Rose is going to beat Tracy?
I am positive that she should be more than a minus 142 favorite.
Well, I think that's going to change. I think that was the odds for when it was against Macy Barber. And they haven't brought in the new odds for...
I actually think they had Macy as a favorite also.
No way.
I thought I saw Macy as a favorite when I saw it.
So maybe this is the odds. I don't know. I'm still leaning just like I said, the size advantage.
I'm interested in seeing Tracy be more active and be able to evolve as a fighter. If she keeps fighting the middle of the pack girls and not actually going up.
This might be that moment.
Absolutely. You beat Rose. You beat Rose, you're going to get a good fight after, but I don't see her beating Rose. I don't see it.
I don't know. I think the path to victory for her is going to be the striking.
I think the path of victory for her will be to wrestle, but
I don't know.
apparently you believe she's a better striker than...
I don't know. Like, I don't know if I've seen enough wrestling from Tracy to really believe it. Even when she gets a lot of people to the ground, there's more ground and pound.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't have any submission when she does have a knockout win. So I don't know.
She has a one submission win.
The other big deal fight on this card that I'm really, really praying does not have any type of issue leading into it. Gabriel Bonfim versus Angelusa, right? Gabriel Bonfim is coming off of a fraud check loss, where the reason I say it's a fraud check is because his cardio was the issue, right? So it made it very clear that at least one of the Bonfim brothers can only get it done if he gets it done fast.
Well,
while Angelusa, on the other hand, is a quitter. He's a baby back quitter. All right, like we hate
not familiar
quitters.
with
He's
him. Not familiar
quitter.
with the guy. That's crazy.
You know why he's a quitter? His last fight against Brian Battle, right?
Oh, he fought Brian. Okay, that's who that is.
The quitter.
That's who that is.
Didn't even have to finish the story. I just had to tell you who he fought. The quitter.
Is.
Right. So, outside of being a quitter, Angelusa is usually a good fighter. I knew he was going to lose against Brian Battle.
It's hard to label somebody a quitter, but he wanted out of that fight.
Nah, bro, he was a quitter. He's a quitter because he wanted out of the fight.
Yeah.
He got the eye poke, got out of the fight, and then when Brian Battle called him out for it, he then suddenly wanted to fight.
Yeah, I remember that.
Nah, bro, keep your hand on your eye and go away. Like, keep your hand on your eye, take whatever insults he's throwing, and then ask the UFC for a rematch.
Well, you know who doesn't think Gabriel was fraud checked, right?
Who's that?
The odds makers.
I know.
Biggest favorite.
Makers don't think he's the
biggest favorite on the card.
Minus 400, bro. That's crazy. But maybe it's not that they don't think he's a fraud. Maybe they just understand that he's a quitter. Angelusa is a quitter.
And I promise you, I'm positive it's not because he bet on you, because he will not bet against Brian Battle.
Yo.
So
right, I was never gonna bet against Brian Battle.
It's not personal because you messed up a parlay.
Right,
it's personal because you
really
just
quit. Bro.
Quit
I
out
would
the
have
fight.
preferred to lose the bet than for you to quit, bro. That's crazy.
I remember.
No, let me take that back. It's not even about the fact that you quit, because an eye poke, no one can really tell you how bad that is. Like, we can't actually determine if you can see or not. You know what I'm saying?
No, absolutely.
So the eye poke is not the issue.
Subjective things.
The events of the eye poke, you were losing the fight, you got eye poked, then you kind of took some time, and then they called off the fight, and then you were chirping, and then it got escalated, and then suddenly you wanted to fight again. Now that you can't actually, you remind me of the kids in high school that talk mad shit when the teacher's right there. Right, they want to throw their hands up when the principal's right there. Whereas, like, no, bro, you just want to get a chance to hit me, and then us get broken up by the people all around, and that's not happening. Like, that's not an option.
I mean, that's not what you signed up for.
I think that's what the odds makers are looking at. All the odds makers are from Providence, and they're like, no.
I mean, it's evident why I don't remember the name, the face. He didn't give me anything to remember him by that was positive. I remember him quitting, and us saying that the eye poke wasn't why he quit, why he sold the eye poke more. I guess.
Yeah, he sold the eye poke more because
the fight wasn't going his way, and he didn't see it changing. And that's an opinion that we can have, but the moment you get tough after the fight is called off,
you turn the opinion to fact.
There's no opinion on that.
Yep.
It was a sucker move.
Turn the opinion to fact.
It's a sucker move, and it's not.
So I'm looking forward to this fight because, like I said, for me, it's a fraud check rebound, right? Rebound, like you could bounce back, right? Maybe you weren't a fraud. Maybe you just really got exhausted in that fight.
Yeah,
it was more than you expected, and that's acceptable, right? So if this fight goes to the third round,
it really isn't acceptable. I think if the eye poke is not the reason why you don't want to continue.
No, not the eye poke. I'm talking about Gabriel.
Oh no!
Gabriel was fraud check because he lost by decision.
I thought you was justified. Maybe
no. Gabriel lost by decision.
Yes,
and it was fraud check, and the decision was very clear that in the second round it was over. Like there was no more cardio in the tank.
Is fraud check the new casual word? Because I remember casual was the favorite word in the MMA community, and the new one is not the new one. This one has been hanging around too. Robbery.
Robbery, oh my God, nah.
Robbery
I've been calling people fakes and frauds for a long time, so I don't know when people started also saying fraud check, but I'm happy for it. Like, I'm glad it's happening.
Yeah, but
it's the best term.
it's getting overused because
we'll just pick a different word.
In a fight with so many things could go wrong, and conditioning could fail you, whatever.
I think it really only applies to people that come into the, like UFC debut fighters, right? That show up in the UFC, and their first fight they show up with minus 300, minus 400. You got to remember, bro, both the Bonfim brothers on their debut card, they debuted on the same card, okay? And they were first and second for the highest odds, right? Like I believe Gabriel came in at like minus 600, and his brother came in at like minus 8, right? So that was their first fight. Then their second fight.
Is that when his brother flatlined Terrence?
Yes.
Damn.
Then the second
Terrence
fight.
McKinney.
Right, and I believe he got the knee was the knockout that he got. So that was their first fight. Second fight comes, they both come in at the same type of shit, minus 700, minus 600. Now listen, very clear. I'm a super big fan of the Bonfims, and that's why I'm concerned. When I'm saying fraud check, I'm not excited about it, or I'm not looking to trash the guy. I'm saying, I'm looking to see have I been investing in the wrong business? That's what the fraud for me is about. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm betting on these guys, right? So from that perspective, I'm just looking to see, like, okay, your second fight you went in, you weren't able to get it done fast, and when you wasn't able to get it done fast, you lost the fight. Because it wasn't like you got tired in the third round and you got tired in the second round. The first round didn't go your way, second round, and we knew who won the fight. Mm-hmm. Whether you got knocked out or submitted or not, you lost. Yeah. Right? And that for me is a big deal.
And also, it's also about the fights that you expect them to win.
Right. So now in this fight, you're going in minus 400 again. Again, the odds makers are saying you are that guy.
Yeah.
So now they gave you the crybaby. If you can't get it done, or at least make him cry out again.
That was ruled a no contest, right?
Yes.
That's terrible.
Because it was a round and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if he can't get that done,
for doing that, you know what you get? You get Gabriel. And he's pissed off.
Bonfim, and he's pissed off, bro. Gabriel Bonfim is tired of hearing people like me saying he's a fraud, bro.
He gonna be throwing punches saying, "Am I fraud checked?"
Right.
That's your punishment.
Don't be surprised if you see him scream "fuck Vega." But all jokes aside, I am really looking forward to that fight. I think that's going to be a really great fight. You pointed out earlier Cody Brundage versus Abdul Razak Al Hassan. I don't know who Abdul is, but we know who Cody is.
Yeah.
Right? And Cody is one of those people who, do I ever see him being a champion? No.
No.
But do I see him being around for a while because he's mad fun to watch? Absolutely. Do I see him ending his career with a winning record? Probably.
See, guys like this is interesting because he could hang around in the UFC, be a company guy, and try to like get in on these fights to hang around longer or whatever. Or maybe you split, go to PFL, Bellator.
Go make some bread because he's better than everybody over there. Yeah, that's not a bad move.
Listen, that's one of the toughest things you got. Like, I joked about it with Kelvin Gastelum missing weight. I have zero doubts that if he were to switch promotions, that he can be holding the title up.
Yo, I am really glad you brought up Kelvin Gastelum because I completely forgot about this. So, yesterday or the day before, whenever it was, obviously, we recorded this on Mondays, so the fight happened very recently. So sometime in between the fight and today, I got into a little back and forth on Instagram with MMA Theory, whoever runs the page, because he put up a post saying that what Brian Ortega did was way worse for the sport than what Kelvin Gastelum did, right? So I'm like, okay, putting this on a spectrum, right? Like looking at this on a spectrum. So in one scenario, we have Kelvin Gastelum, who missed weight, but the evidence around him missing weight shows that he did it intentionally. He didn't care, right? Because he made a show about missing weight. Like all of this is it's just flaunting at it, right? So as far as respect to the business and everything, that was really bad, right? Brian Ortega, trying to be part of a saving of a fight card, overextended himself and communicated poorly to his opponent that he wasn't going to make weight because he called him at 4 a.m., which is terrible. You called the man at 4 o'clock in the morning. You woke him up, put some wild shit in his brain. He's not going back to sleep. Right? Like, there's a lot of chaos you cause there too, right?
No.
So that's really bad, right? So like on a scale of which is worse, in real time, Brian Ortega's feels worse. But Kelvin Gastelum is actively worse because we don't know if he's going to stop doing this. No. We don't know how many more times he's going to miss weight. He has a history of missing weight. Right? Like, this is something where he's actively putting his opponents in this danger we speak of when we say fighters missed weight and it's dangerous, right? Like, and I'm not using air quotes because it's not dangerous, but like I feel like the danger is overextended in the weight cut conversation, right? Yeah. As far as fighters missing weight versus not. The real big point of it for me that really led to the extended back and forth was he ended his point with saying Kelvin could do what he did 10 times over and it wouldn't be as bad as what Brian Ortega did.
Do you think the UFC will let
Bro, that's what I'm saying, bro. Like, where do you even get the idea
I don't think he understands
that 10 times
difference.
Over is even realistic?
I don't think
like,
he understands.
3 times is way too many, bro.
I don't think he understands the difference between Max Holloway falling and cracking his head and not being able to make that fight with Khabib.
Right.
And somebody that's
like,
not taking care of his nutrition. Like,
and
not eating well.
That's what I'm seeing with the Brian Ortega situation. We're not talking
one
about...
has intent and one is just...
Right. Like,
it's just unfortunate.
Even if you include the rumors of Brian Ortega was already planning to go to 155 anyway, like you include those rumors.
That's not a rumor. That's a fact. That's a fact that he was ready to accept the fight at 155.
Even if we include those elements, right, you still have to factor in this was all short notice stuff. The man got sick because of the weight cut, right? Like that's how it worked.
And he didn't stop like, I'm sick.
We got to a point where the first time in history we see a fight card get changed in the middle of the fight card.
Yeah.
Like, what? So, no, Kelvin Gastelum doing that over would be a nightmare. Kelvin Gastelum shouldn't have done it the first time because you can't capitalize on putting your opponent in a disadvantage so that you could benefit in something completely unrelated to the sport that we're doing.
I mean, we pointed it out last week. We seen the boss literally lie to our face just because it sounds outrageous. He said he's missed weight 3 times. He's missed weight more than that. But if he does it 2-3 more times,
like,
it won't take 10 times. He's already not allowed to try to make 170.
Right.
That's where he wants to fight. And the boss told him, no, I can't trust you there.
This is already problematic. Like, to say that what Brian did was worse is to say that Brian should be punished for what he did. There's no punishment coming for Brian. He put in every effort he could to make this fight so that there would be an exciting fight happening. Like, choosing to miss weight so that you could promote your other business is way worse and cannot happen ever again with any fighter.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Let alone Kelvin Gastelum doing it more than once.
There's intent that's not in the right place with Kelvin Gastelum. Like, you're more worried about getting this podcast off than hitting scales correctly. So,
and that's problematic.
There's no way we're going to compare that to anything else that's not cheating. Because is it John Anik that says that's... I don't think it's John Anik. I think it's Kenny Florin. Yeah. Kenny Florin says that it's
like cheating.
It's what's it called? It's a strategic way to cheat, basically, because I didn't kill myself to cut down, which is what Ryan Garcia did with Haney before the whole drug whatever, and I believe part of the reason why it was easy for Tank to knock him out to the body is
the rehydration
flaws.
And that's a big element of weight cutting.
When you're making a big weight cut, you're more likely to get knocked out if you're hit. It's a fact.
And for people who don't understand what rehydration is, it's your body naturally regaining weight from water consumption, right? So just anything that has water in it is going to bring that extra weight back to you. And that's why you fill up so fast. When you hear people, when you're talking to the average person, they're like, I want to lose weight. Most of the time you tell them, yo, just run a little bit, right? Or change your eating habits, because water weight carries so much for people, especially in heavier people. Heavier people start jogging. Once they start sweating, bro, they're losing like a pound per drop. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how much weight we carry in just water, and that's how part of the weight cutting process is. There's a lot that goes into it, right? Which brings me to my other real quick point. Like, I think MMA Theory is a great page, bro. Like, I have no issue with them. I don't want anybody to start like trying to bash them over. This is just a difference of opinion. And I just feel like in that difference of opinion, it was a small moment where you do some shade, and that's not necessary, bro. I feel like people just get to a space where conversations can happen without anybody feeling insulted. So I think MMA Theory is a dope page. I love checking out a lot of the different stuff that they play, especially when they play hypothetical matchups. So make sure you check them out. But you brought up a really, really great point for us to wrap the show on, because for some crazy reason we have a wonderful habit of wrapping up in the boxing space. So we'll leave it there and we'll keep it consistent. You feel me?
We throwing shade at boxing again?
So bringing it to boxing, we're throwing a little bit of shade, right? Because there's been a lot of like, and this is the world that I live in, right? So I live in a space, as Mike knows when he sees me, and we're friends in real life. So like, as Mike comes by and sees, every now and then I'm either just watching the news or watching like mainstream media or regular media, or underground media or YouTube, just all different elements of news, right? So there's
Political guy over here.
There's been some news outlets, right? Whether you think that they're valuable or not, there are people reporting. There's been some news outlets saying that NISAC is currently under investigation because they might have mishandled Ryan Garcia's samples. Right, so then to hear the boss Dana White then come out and say, "Yo, listen, this is not my place. I got no dog in the game, but I'm just saying we got the best people, and my people are telling me it might have been it was most likely a tainted sample, and he did not cheat. He didn't say he said it was a tainted sample." And he did not cheat,
which isn't fact. Which isn't always factual because he said it.
Right,
but he's very confident in these guys,
in the guys that he employs.
Because,
you know what I'm saying? So
exactly.
He's not just saying this from his own like ego or from his own position. He's saying this, and in theory, on paper, putting his people on the line. Right, because he's saying, "Yo, the people I hire are the absolute best, and the best don't think that this was cheating. They think it was a tainted sample." Right, so now
easy to say that. Oh, he just wants to throw shade at them, but no, he's a boxing fan, and
right, and he don't got nothing to gain from this. No matter how this turns out, there's nothing that the UFC or Dana could benefit from in this situation. There's a million other things going on in boxing that he could criticize and capitalize on way more than this particular situation, right? Which brings us to the whole idea again of like, there's so much conspiracy, and I'll say conspiracy theory around using that term specifically on the idea of like, there's a lot of evidence, but not enough evidence that can be factually proven to be real, right? So you have some stuff that's present, and unless we allow people to do this research into that stuff, we can never prove if it's real. So it lives in this questionable space. But there's tons of conspiracy evidence out there that says the Haneys were pulling some stuff to make some stuff happen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then you look at some of the history of their fights and you're like, oh, there's some stuff happening here. Then you look at you see some of these pictures that come up from Devin Haney's history, and you see some of the people, and you're like, oh, there's some, right? So
I'm not familiar with this theory or anything.
Oh man, bro, it's a wild rabbit hole. It's a crazy one. It's a crazy one, bro. Oh my God. To the point, I think there was a picture of Devin Haney a couple months before the fight with the athletic commission, like out to dinner or some shit. Like the people who do the drug testing. You know what I'm saying? Like if you were just out to dinner a year ago hanging out and you don't have a fight coming up, that's fucking like go have dinner, bro. I'm not judging you for having friends.
Yeah.
But like leading up to your fight, stay away from all the officials, bro. Because true or not, it doesn't paint a good picture.
Yeah.
Like stay away. Don't hang out with a ref. Don't go to no fucking judge's birthday
party. Did you watch
party.
that? Did you watch that fight? There was times where the ref intervened.
The ref seemed like he was interfering in weird ways, bro.
Yes,
weird ways.
Yes, it was.
You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things that people are saying.
There was plenty of circus movement going on throughout that whole promotion of fighting in the fights. Like literally, you can.
There was a lot of buffoonery. It was a clown show. It was, and it just kind of again hyper exposes the idea. Like I like boxing. I don't dislike boxing. I like boxing.
What you just said right now is the first time I hear it. I'm not completely shocked by it because, like I said, I was questioning how the ref was intervening in these moments.
Right, like you think about that. You have your own questions just watching the fight. Like, damn, that's kind of weird. This guy's getting really involved. And then you hear these type of theories afterwards, and you're like, oh, that doesn't really make me comfortable. Like, that makes things way worse for me.
I saw a lot of complaints from people that had Ryan Garcia by knockout. They were like, the only reason he didn't get it was because of the ref. And
they're not wrong.
That's a big indictment in itself.
It's a big indictment, bro.
In itself,
that's a big indictment.
That's crazy.
It's a lot to question. You know what I mean? So I say all that to say I love boxing. Or I don't know if I love boxing. I like boxing. I don't like the state of boxing as a business right now. I think is in complete shambles and needs some sort of organizational structure to come in.
Listen,
big shout out to Sheik Turkey, which I think is a hilarious name, but Sheik Turkey coming in with his money and making the boxing stuff a little bit better and more interesting. For any true boxing fan out there, you're gonna hate the next thing I say, but even as much as I personally want to see him get knocked out, shout out to Jake Paul for keeping boxing alive too, bro. Jake Paul's antics are keeping the young generation paying attention enough to make new boxing fans.
I think at one point he did bring attention to it, but that spark has fizzled.
I don't think the spark has fizzled with the young guys. Like with people, so we're in our 30s, right? The people in their early 20s and the people in the 10 to 20-year-old range, like the young kids, right? Like they still watch him. They still very in tune with him. They still follow and they're connected, right? That's why all the kids are drinking Prime, bro.
I can see that, but I also feel like if that was true, he wouldn't be fighting Mike Perry next.
I think that was a last-minute decision. I think they didn't want to cancel whatever was going on with the Netflix deal.
I actually think that's just the best fight he has available for him right now, unless he wants to get in there with somebody that's way more dangerous.
I think that comes down to when we shift back to our generation, which is the people he'd be fighting, nobody really wants to take him serious. Even with the money on the table, there's so many accusations.
But there's been other like guys that are way more beatable that are like, I'll fight him.
But then the problem comes in is that right now he's in a space.
I don't think his stardom is big enough anymore, so he's trying to take somebody else's stardom.
I think it's different.
Because Mike Perry has a following right now. Whether it is bare knuckle boxing,
it's small though.
But he's a star there, so he just needs a dancing partner that can sell something.
But the following that Mike Perry has, he's not converting to his. Win or lose, those people are not turning. They're like win or lose. Those people are fucking gangsters, bro. They're not turning into fans of Jake Paul.
Absolutely
they
not.
They don't like his
Absolutely
character.
Absolutely not.
There's too much about him.
But I think he just needed somebody who's a star in their own right.
Nah, I think what's
like for example,
happening,
the fact that Mike Perry has been undefeated in this bare knuckle boxing promotion, that alone gives him enough of a stardom, like to sell the fight as something that's equal.
But there's other people.
He hasn't been able to find.
There's other people that he could do that with. I think what's happening is that a lot of the people that he could do that type of stuff with are now looking at the situation and worried about all of the questions of people taking dives, right? Because if I go in there and I'm really set my mind to whoop Jake Paul's ass and I lose, I'm not only taking a loss, but now I'm also getting accused of taking a dive, which really hurts.
It's an odd thing to think. It's an odd thing to think. It's an odd thing to think about, but it's not. It's not like
you know what I mean?
It's not off completely off.
Especially when you look at some of the people like who was it? There was
Woodley is viewed that as
Woodley's an example. Like Woodley's a great example. Woodley, when the Mike Tyson fight fell out, he was like, "Yo, I'll come in there. I'm still looking for revenge." Like, no, bro, we don't believe that you didn't take a dive the first time. So even if you win, like if you win this time, it looks like you took a dive, which is bad.
I don't think.
And if you lose again, it looks bad. Like there's no winning situation for you. When you like anybody, even a Ryan Garcia fight, right? It's like, bro, if you fight Jake Paul and you lose, that'd be crazy. Sean O'Malley, if you fight Jake Paul and you lose, that's crazy.
Well, for some reason, Dana's keeping his guys away from him.
For what I just said.
And that theory...
That's the reason.
That theory can fit, but...
On a business level, there's no value to fighting Jake Paul anymore because he's taken too many fights against people that either we knew he was going to beat and he shouldn't be taking the fight,
for example,
or people that we thought he was going to lose against, like Anderson Silva, and then somehow he gets a W. And we're like, whoa, what was that? You know what I'm saying? Those type of things become problematic.
Well, he's just an older guy, but... Why did Nate Diaz not want to fight him in MMA?
He did. Jake Paul wasn't serious about it.
That's not what I'm hearing.
Really?
From what I've seen, is all Nate saying no.
From my understanding, what it was
I think it's Nate trying to get back in the UFC and trying to
that's what I'm saying. From my understanding, it was that Jake Paul wanted to fight Nate Diaz in PFL. And Nate Diaz was like, "Yo,
that's his deal.
Regardless of where I'm at with the UFC right now, I'm not turning my back on the UFC.
I'm not going to the minor
leagues.
Right,
so MMA, there's no way, bro."
But when he was trying to get out the UFC deal, his intentions was to go to Bellator. Him and his team, he has some people that are signed to Bellator there.
Yeah.
We're going to go up against another team. Like they had some beef.
But it was incentive. Like it wasn't just I'm gonna go. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to the PFL with Jake Paul and Nate Diaz,
I think that move.
I think on a deeper level, he's like, yo, no matter what issues I've ever had with Dana, at the end of the day, if I go fight Jake Paul in PFL, the attention I'm gonna bring to PFL is disrespectful to Dana. You know what I'm saying? And as a street guy, as the man we know Nate Diaz to be, I could 100% buy into that.
No, the theory is not off. I agree with it. I agree with it, but I don't know how much he's already damaged in already getting in the ring with him and losing a fight that we knew he was going to lose.
No, but he's not damaged because we knew he was going to lose.
Did we think he was going to outbox Jake Paul?
Nobody actually believed he was going to outbox Jake Paul. And on top of that, when he was losing the fight, he did everything we expect him to do in a real fight against Jake Paul.
Put him in a
You know what I'm saying? So he put him in a guillotine. He threw him to the floor. Like, he did everything we expect. You know what I'm saying? So
we watched that fight hoping that Jake Paul got tired out. No, we was hoping that Jake Paul get tired out and they could get him.
Right, and yeah, exactly.
But we didn't think he could outbox him.
That was it.
There was no chance.
That was it. So I think from the other side of that equation is the UFC part, where it's like, all right, so now if the conversation is Nate Diaz only fights Jake Paul in the UFC's not taking Jake Paul in.
No.
They're not taking Jake Paul in. They're definitely not taking Jake Paul in and putting him up against Nate Diaz.
If they wanted to do business with Jake Paul, they would have did it. They would have did it a long time ago.
It's not a personal thing. Prime is all over the UFC.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, they're not bringing Jake Paul in.
He's been willing to work with Logan. He's unwilling to even talk to Jake at this point.
I think it's a gimmick thing, right? Like, when Dana White calls out gimmick fights and shit, like, I don't think he feels like that about all fights, but I think the deep beef between Dana and Jake Paul was so real that even now that they've squashed it enough for Logan to do business with him, it's still like, I don't want to do anything with you.
How are you going to call me a malapaga?
Right.
Like, and think that we're gonna be
good.
Okay
with it. Like, we're gonna fix that.
Like, bro, you just said I disrespect. I don't pay my fighters this, and that. Why you want to be one of my fighters?
I'm putting money in your brother's pocket.
Well, this is the thing though. Logan is WWE, and you all know that.
But the Prime
endeavors.
I'm just talking about Prime.
Yeah,
Prime is Logan and Jake, right? And look at how much they're buying into
I don't think
UFC.
Jake has anything to do with that.
He has a little stake. Logan is the one that runs everything, but they share all of the stuff they do together.
I thought it was.
That's one of the only things I love about them as brothers.
I thought it was Logan and KSI. For
no, KSI is one of the signed fighters of Prime. So he has his own like celebrity lineup of people for Prime, and KSI is one of them. But he probably has other partners in it. But I know that Logan Paul and Jake Paul. One of the things I loved about them is that like they really have a tight family bond. You know what I'm saying? They really have a lot of love for their mom, and they stay
when Logan's not lying about fights with him.
Right, exactly, and they do that because it excites people because everybody wants to see brothers fight. You know what I'm saying? It's exciting.
I think Logan takes it to a cringe form and puts Jake in a bad position often.
Yes, he does, but he's the older brother, so I can see that happening a lot.
Why do older brothers do that?
Because they don't have a border, bro. They don't understand.
I have an older brother. I understand.
We don't get it, bro. Sometimes we just look at our brother and we always see baby brother, bro. So like we forget that you a grown ass man every now and then. It's not on purpose. You know what I'm saying?
That's why little brother always beat up big brother, bro.
It's not on purpose. You know
what I mean? That's why little brother always beat up big brother. And if they ever got in the ring together, I would watch that. You know why? Because I am dying to
Everybody would watch that.
I am dying to see Jake put paws on him.
And Jake Paul's for sure the better boxer.
He'd hurt him.
For sure the better boxer. He'd hurt him. Bro. For sure.
He'd hurt him.
For sure the better boxer.
Logan punches soft, bro. Those are pillow punches.
Yeah, man.
Now, if we're talking about performing, Logan's a star in that WWE ring, bro.
Nah, Logan knows how to be a star. He knows how to be a celebrity.
The thing is, bro, I don't like his in-ring, like, talking.
Yeah.
But it's easy for him because he's hated so much. So it's perfect. Like, you don't watch wrestling, I will get you into that thing, man. Dominic Reyes is Rey Mysterio's son. They don't let this kid speak. He comes in and he's just, Mommy says, and they're booing him so much they don't let him speak. Bro, it's craziness, bro. It's craziness, but wrestling is at a good state, man.
I feel like, and we'll wrap it here before we kidnap people with this one, but WrestleMania events, I still tune into those. But it sucks a little bit, I'll admit, because
I don't understand how you
so
can
heavy into their storyline.
Exactly. How can you tune into WrestleMania?
Like, even the one that just passed with John Cena, not John Cena, I'm bugging.
The Rock?
with The Rock and
Cody Rhodes
and
Bro.
and Roman Reigns, right? Like
that storyline.
going into that, I had to read up, bro. I had to read up in the storyline just to understand what was happening.
And that storyline is still not done.
Yeah, and right. So
all that happened is Roman went away after he lost. He'll be back as a baby face, like they always love him to be, but he's better as a bad guy.
I don't think he's gonna come back again. He left because he has cancer.
No. He's beat leukemia twice. He left because he's about to retire very soon.
Yeah, because he's had
him and the Rock.
time.
Him and The Rock are gonna fight in WrestleMania. It was supposed to happen this year. The fans didn't want it. They went crazy. Boo, boo. Finish your story talking about Cody.
Yeah.
So they had to switch it up, and it switches to The Rock slapping Cody after Cody had just brought The Rock in and said, I said I'm gonna take everything for you, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna take the belt from you at WrestleMania. He just won the right to pick whoever he wants to fight, and everybody's expecting him to pick Roman, and he's like, I told you I'm gonna take everything from you, so I'm not gonna go for you this year yet. I'm gonna go for Seth, for The Rock to go for him, but the fans saw right through it, was not with it. Audible. Now what's happening is the Roman Reigns gone. He said that the heir to be the tribal chief is Solo Socorro. Solo Socorro is the youngest son of Rikishi, whose oldest sons have been dominating wrestling for like 16, 18 years now as one of the best tag team champions and all that.
Who are they?
The Usos.
I knew it.
Jimmy and Jay Uso.
Those guys look exactly like skinny Rikishi, bro. That's crazy.
Their little brother was signed earlier last year. And he's had like more of an enforcer, like quiet guy approach. But now he started his own bloodline. Went and got two guys that were their brothers that their father was cool with Samoan dynasty guys from older times, and we were waiting for this guy Jacob, which is these guys' cousins also, who he's been dominating the Indies or whatever, and he's like the black sheep of the family.
To tune in, I just be like, damn.
He's Omaga's son.
Yeah,
he's Omaga's son, and bro, they're starting this bloodline that's gonna later probably go after the Usos. So when Solo is going after his brothers and beating them up, or one by one, he'll probably go after Jay because Jimmy hasn't been around since Jay beat him in WrestleMania. After he attacks him, you're gonna see Jimmy come help him, and then probably everybody's there. So it's 2 versus 4, okay. In comes Roman Reigns as a babyface to save his cousins. I'm telling you, and they're gonna set up. They're gonna set up an event called War Games. Family versus family. Bro.
Well, there you have it,
bro.
If you try to hear some more wrestling
stuff, Triple H is doing his thing.
Triple H is doing his thing. But that's it for this week. You know the vibes. You can like, comment, and subscribe below. That's crazy. The first mistake I made was at the end of the episode. So like, comment, and subscribe right below. You can follow Coach Mike at SF Big Mike. Follow me at What Up Vega. And this was the main event Fightcast. Tune in.
See you next week, man.